Hey guys, it's Ian from SS8000 Cars and welcome to the M25, which is rather busy. We've already been on the road for an hour, and the way things are, I suspect it may well be another hour before we get to Hatfield. Why are we going to Hatfield? We're going to Hatfield for the launch of the Boxster 718. Now the Boxster 718 is an interesting car because after the 911 twin turbo that got launched earlier in the year, which we did a video on, they're now turbocharging the Boxster. Very slight issue with turbocharging the Boxster. At the same time, they've reduced the number of cylinders from 6 to 4. And there have been quite a number of reports that suggest that the engine note, not the performance or the handling or the way that it feels, but the engine note is not exciting for a dedicated sports car, which of course is the Boxster.
Welcome. My name is Mike Murphy and I'm proud to be Centre Principal of Porsche Centre Hatfield. My team and I are delighted to welcome you to our 718 Boxster preview event this evening at our newly updated Porsche Centre. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to revive a famous number from Porsche's history. Porsche 718 traces its heritage back 59 years. Between 1957 and 1962, our lightweight mid-engine sports car achieved success on racetracks across the world. Sebring, European Hill Climb, Targa Florio, and more, to name a few. 718 is the new name for Boxster and now Cayman, which was announced 3 days ago and will go on sale on the 24th of September this year.
Right next to a 718 Boxster. One of the things that I've always liked about the Boxster is the fact that it's probably the most rigid of all the soft top cars. There's very little shimming from the chassis and it drives absolutely beautifully. And this is the latest update, and as I said on the way up, you probably already know that it's a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. And although the power is up on the Boxster S, it's up from I think 311 to 345, but nevertheless I have heard that the engine sound is not as dynamic as the 6-cylinder engine. So I don't think we'll get a chance to see that tonight, or hear it perhaps, but I do love the interior and the exterior of the Boxster. So here we're looking straight into the car, very similar to the GT4 we have. As you can see, the instrumentation is really straight out of the Cayman, or maybe more appropriately, the Boxster's instrumentation was put in the Cayman, because they're both similar cars and they're running the same basic chassis setup. The GT4, of course, is running the GT3 suspension, so there's a big difference there, but the standard Cayman GTS and the 718 Boxster will be running a very, very similar chassis setup. And I assume that the current Cayman GTS, of course, is a 6-cylinder engine. I am assuming they'll put the 4-cylinder turbo engine in the Cayman as well. Okay, well, you can see we're at Porsche in Hatfield. This is where we got the McCann Turbo, so that's where the excitement is. I like this place. I really like the guy that I deal with, who I should spare his blushes by not mentioning who it is. What we'll do here quickly is show you the boot being shut, which it definitely shuts with a good clunk. And we've got Chris here today. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
And it's a bit different today because I'm the one holding the camera. But what I have found, especially when I was going around the Geneva Motor Show, what I have found is actually, if I hold it, although you see a little less of me, which I gather is no bad thing, you will hear me quite clearly, because this little Sony of ours is absolutely brilliant at picking up my voice over the ambient sounds that you're getting, and you know, it is quite noisy in here.
Can we take a look at the front luggage space?
Of course. Would you like to? Again, you can see that it's using the 918 supercar steering wheel. a few extra buttons on there than I've got on my GT4. And we'll move around to the front. Again, this looks to me exactly the same as the GT4 luggage space. I mean, a decent amount of room, and I suspect you get 3 or 4 squash bags in there, Chris. What do you think?
Yeah, or small children.
Or small children. I mean, clearly, from a safety viewpoint, Chris is less interested in how the children end up at the end of the journey than I might be. Obviously, you can see the same with the Cayman. It's a 2-seater. I'll show you the specification. Not an inexpensive car. I mean, it's 41,000. This isn't even the S, and this is 42,000 on the road. But by the time they put all the extras on here, we're up at 65,000. Quite a lot, it has to be said. I was saying to my daughter when we picked up the GT4, and I think you'll have seen that I spent a minute or two panning around a yellow GT4. I do love yellow. I think yellow is such a stunning colour. But having said that, lots of people don't. I just think on a sports car, I just think it's really an exciting colour. All right, guys, well, I'm going to sign off for the minute now. We'll come back a bit later, maybe take you around the rest of the showroom, see what other cars they've got. We're going to have a little wander. We just thought we'd have a quick look. Since we're wandering around, this is the Panamera and it's the Turbo S. Now, as I think I might have mentioned before, we had the Turbo before, and I have said in other videos that I think the Panamera is slightly challenging from an outside viewpoint, but the inside of the Panamera is truly beautiful. I mean, it is such a great place to sit. So it's all leather, carbon fibre and Alcantara. So the Alcantara runs over the roof, but all the dashboard, right the way down to where the satellite navigation screen is and the carbon fibre is all leather. The doors are completely all leather. Absolutely everything is covered in leather that isn't covered in carbon fibre and Alcantara. A really nice car. Okay, why not? Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I put mine down, I turned around and it was gone. That's what I did. It wasn't there when I got out.
I think I'd rather risk it though, actually, because I can always go and get another one, as you rightly say. Okay. It is.
I just lowered the wheel because I wanted to see how much space there was. You can raise it just under the steering column.
Is it electric or manual, do you know?
Electric, just under the steering column. In and out and down.
It's a very nice environment. I like the new MMI interface in the centre of the console. I particularly like the steering wheel. They've gone a bit more jazzy than you get on the 918 with the silver surrounds here, and a bit of controlling from a management information and from a phone basis system. And then down here you'll see this is new. This is actually to manage what mode you have it in. So you have Sport, obviously this is the Chrono Plus package, and you have Sport and Sport Plus on the steering wheel, so you can change which version, what you want, whether you want it to be sporty or whether you want comfort. This is a PDK, so a twin clutch automated system, which I think makes sense on an everyday basis. Very, very comfortable. The thing I like about Porsche is they are beautifully made cars. So everything's leather. I mean, this presumably has the leather package, but everything is leather. The dashboard's leather, the centre console is leather, the steering wheel, all the door trim, obviously the seats, and I really think it's very smart.
What do you think the headroom would be like if you had the hood up?
Difficult to know, Chris, and right now I don't know whether I'm on my lowest settings, so it may be that I can come down. But I'd have to say, I'm 6 foot and there's not a huge amount of headroom with the seat in this particular position.
Yeah.
But I think actually, what actually happens with the roof is it comes over the top. So actually, it's not just straight across you. I think there's a little bit extra room inside once. But unlike when we were at Geneva with one of our colleagues, Paul Edwicker, who has his own blog, and Paul is actually 6'3" stroke 6'4", and we were looking at the 4C Alfa Romeo Spider, and the problem Paul had was he was looking really right into the top of the roof here, whereas at least I'm looking through the window. So I mean, I think I'd be easily able to drive this comfortably, but I'm not sure if I was much taller I'd be able to. I think I shall get out. And just as the man said, somebody's gone off with my drink.
What do you think of it in the silver colour?
This is the 718 Boxster S, okay, that we were talking about. So this is the one that produces 345 brake horsepower. It's distinguished, I think, by the twin exhausts. Although I know that one of the optional extras on the Boxster now is the sports package, which you have sports exhausts that come with it. So I don't know if you have the sports package with the standard Boxster, maybe that comes with twin exhausts as well. I don't know, but normally Boxsters in the past have been differentiated by the twin pipes on, you know, right in the centre of the car. I think it's quite smart in silver, Chris. I mean, I think I'd be more likely to choose an outrageous colour.
The gunmetal is quite nice.
Yeah, it is.
And they've got the hood up over here.
They have? Good idea. But do you see, there is a curvature in the roof, isn't there? So it doesn't just cut across, it comes over the top. Shall you have a sit this time?
Okay.
And this time I'll actually hold your glass rather than put it down.
Thank you. There's plenty of space above my head.
But I'm not much taller than you, so I think it's because actually they find space in the way that they design the roof, so it doesn't cut straight across to the mounting points at the top of the screen. It actually comes over slightly, which adds a couple of inches probably to the inside. Again, I think the grey metallic outside the car and the red leather interior is quite smart.
Yeah, very nice.
You know, very, very smart. Again, you know, it's a two-seater car, and you can't get away from that. It's not going to be taking any more than two people. This is a manual box, this one. So it's, I mean, I've been converted back to manuals recently with the GT4. I mean, the GT4 is a short shift box, close ratio gearbox, and it's a joy to use, and I suspect this will be very similar. The actual gear knob itself sticks slightly further out of the center console than the GT4 one does, because when I lean my arm on the center console in the GT4, I actually my hand actually touches the top of the gear knob. So that's probably an extra inch or even an inch and a half taller. But other than that, it is very similar. And I know one of the biggest upgrades, other than the engine, is the MMI interface in the centre of the console. Can I pass this to you, Chris, and maybe take it across?
Yeah.
Now, I haven't had a chance to play with it, but apparently it is a major upgrade on the original system, which I have in the GT4. Can you find a map? Does it have a? Yeah, press the nav button, Chris, on the underneath the.
I had.
Yeah, press nav. Just press it. That's it.
There we go.
Yeah, that looks much more modern than the original system that we have, both on the Turbo Macan and on the GT4. And then this one, unlike shall I take it back?
Yeah.
The steering wheel here, unlike the steering wheel in the last one, you can see doesn't have so much paraphernalia actually on the steering wheel itself. So like the GT4, you'd have to control that all from the center console. But again, this steering wheel does have the ability to move the car into sports and sports plus mode, actually attached to the center hub of the steering wheel. Still very nice indeed. Okay, come back to you in a few moments. Guys, we're just showing you the inside of the Boxster boot effectively. As you know, the Boxster's a mid-engine car, so basically right at the back we have extra luggage space where you can put a number of further soft bags. So I reckon you're probably up to about 6 soft bags in the car overall, and it goes quite well into the corners, as Chris is demonstrating. And then in front of that you have the engine, of course, but Porsche now, both on the 911 which was starting with the 991, shield you from the engine, and I think that's a bit of a shame. On the GT4, which is an out-and-out sportster, you would expect to be able to admire the engine, but you know, they cover it over completely. I haven't had the GT4 or seen under the 718 Boxster to see what you can see of the engine underneath yet, but I think they put flat panels underneath to smooth the air coming underneath the vehicle as well, so the chances are you really cannot see the engine in either the Boxster or the Cayman or the 911, which I think is a pity.
The only sign that there is an engine here is that there is a filling point for the water and the oil.
Yeah. Funnily enough, in the Cayman, in the GT4, they're in the front part of the section, so under the bonnet rather than under the boot lid. Anyway, there you go. I thought you might be interested in that, guys. I certainly think for 2 people travelling together through Europe, there is tons of space in this car to be able to take probably at least a couple of weeks luggage. And certainly if you're travelling down to a house or a villa that you've hired or own, you definitely that effectively had washing facilities, this car would be perfect for a trip like that.
Now here's a question for you, Ian. Is there a spare wheel anywhere?
No. You don't get spare wheels with Porsches anymore, as far as I'm aware. They used to do space-saving wheels. The Macan Turbo had a space saver, but now you get a can, Chris, which you're meant to squirt into the wheel. It fills the any damage, and you pump it up and off you go. My experience of that is, it seems to me that whenever I get a puncture, it rips the wheel and no amount of filling it with anything is going to mend it. So I guess that's the point at where you get Porsche assistance out.
Why?
Now over here, the reason that we've come down this end of the room is actually, it looks to me like we've got an old 911 here. I'm going to have a little look round to work out precisely what the model is here, but it is very smart. Lovely condition, I would imagine probably restored. Seems to have full racing harness inside and sports seats. I'm wondering whether this is the RS. No, it's the 911S. And then again, under the wire mesh at the back, you can see clearly where the engine is, which is counter to what they do now, which is cover it up. What a beautiful car. Not totally sure of the age, although it does have a Porsche badge on the side saying 1969, so that may well be a clue. I'll look up what Markenweltmeister actually means, and I'll come back to you on that. That may well be the fact that it competed in a race or a racing series, and then that would match up with the full racing harness belts and the they're not really sports seats, actually they're bucket seats. You can see that, so they're fixed seats. They don't recline. It's a lovely looking car. The funny thing is that although the basic shape on the 911 has stayed true to its original design, what you do notice when you're close to one of these is just how much smaller it is than today's cars. Today's cars have got big, and of course that's all the safety legislation they have to put in them. But I am sure that a drive of this would be a very exciting experience. Okay guys, well, we're going to be leaving Porsche and Hatfield fairly soon. One last look round the place. one last look at the Boxster S 718. So we'll reserve judgment on the noise the car makes to the point where we've actually had the opportunity to drive it, because there's no question at all, it is a great looking car, and the communication management system is a great upgrade. And although the interior hasn't changed dramatically, it's just every time they introduce a new iteration of the Boxster, it just looks a little bit smarter. Well, it's Ian at SS8000 Cars signing off. Please make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you very soon. Just literally before I go, you can see this has got the adaptive cruise system, because underneath the number plate you can see the little eye. Okay, thank you, bye bye.